Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. And I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite Creator. And I continue to pray each and every day that each and every one of you will accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the benefits from the universe. Now, I greet you all this evening. I was lurking in the background listening to Milky Way and everybody, and happy birthday to them, and etc. Um, I've been wanting to have sort of this discussion for a while. There are many people that talk about the universe and what is the universe, and well, let me just slowly start out and say, a lot of people have different views on what the universe is. Oh, let me say hi to everybody: Chloe, Teresa, um, Michelle, as always, Scrat. Let's see, did I miss anybody at the moment? No, I don't think so. Blessings to you this Friday evening or early Saturday morning, possibly. We got thunder showers in the background here, which we really need some rain. We've only had like an inch this whole month. It's been really dry after we had a flood at the first of the month. But anyway, um, so let's, if you will, universe. Let's kind of go there and put our feet on the ground and say, okay, where are we going to begin? So the idea of the universe, well, let's start out. We're living on planet Earth. And to some people, the Earth and our solar system is the extent of their idea of the universe. So now, in my realm of thinking, even when I was a kid looking up at the sky and through telescopes and so forth back in the early 60s and paying attention and stuff, there wasn't anywhere near the amount of uh, light issues that we had back then. I mean, in Tampa, we could see the stars, not anymore, but anyway. But what is the universe? Now, so people can say, well, the universe from a philosophical, well, the universe could include heaven, or the universe include our galaxy, or the universe can include all of the galaxies. So we have to kind of, choose what do we mean. We mean parallel universes, where, the spoke of the wheel is 12 and the one in the middle is 13. So for every galaxy or every realm or dimension, there are 12 different versions, actually 13, if you want to think about um, uh, parallel universes. And I don't necessarily mean, uh, you know, parallel universes, existing at the same point. Anyway, so in this discussion about Big Bang, now there has been a lot of scientific study about, how our universe is. Okay, so at some point, something started, which with their theory is it started with a big bang. Boom. Oh, let's all say hello to Bob, by the way, and say thank you, Bob. I didn't make coffee. I drank my last coffee, so I'm in the process of drinking, a tall one here. But the idea of the universe and the Big Bang. That was rude. Just stopped right in the middle to have a drink. I was thirsty. But so in this idea of the Big Bang, and I've got a piece of paper down here, and I'm going to do a little bit of artwork. Art's not here, by the way, but I'm going to do this in crayon because I've got it here. It's watercolor crayon. So this Big Bang theory that we just popped into existence from a single point. Now, a lot of good information out there, scientific studies and things and pictures and, about where the universe, the fact that we tendency to be expanding. In other words, if there's nothing in space, theoretically speaking, to slow us down. So if we get shot in a particular direction, unless there's something that's going to slow us down, we're still going to kind of travel in that same direction. Now, I can't remember it. It may have been oh cram, I can't think of his name right now. Science fiction writers. Okay, so here, go with me on this. So I'm going to draw it in a circle, just because. Now, when God was flying around out in space, I'm not being, sacrilegious, I hope. But God's flying around out there in space, right? And there's nothing. Okay. So we're going to take this white piece of paper as nothing, right? There's nothing there. There's not even any color or any light. It's just there. So, but what if that nothingness was actually in something? Okay. So the something is just this circle right now. So all of this out here is nothingness. It's there. But here is something, all right? And it could be thought, all right? But in this particular instance, I'm just going to slightly color this in just to give it that there's something actually there. Okay? So there's actually a little something there, but we can't really perceive it, okay? So, but here's this thing. It's there, but, devoid of light. But if the Big Bang, what if this other universe, or some more of the universe, if you will, well, can't get the sleeve back on. There it goes. What if, okay, so I'm going to change colors here. And let's try the Zoom thing that you can join, and they sent the paper and the crayons that actually is for watercolor. And anyway, so I'm using some of their art supplies. I used to work there at the art center a lot. So here is the universe. Now, so what if we can't see it? There's a bunch of space out there, immense. Connection is unstable. Okay, we do have thunderstorms. So if for some reason I go off, it's very possible we had the lights go click. All right, so continuing on with this, I'll just do this artwork down here. So what if the black section, I just colored it black because it's dark and we can't see it, has a pop, basically like a pimple. There's so much expansion going on in this area that the membrane, the fabric of time and space, breaks. And what happens? Well, so out of this circle comes us, our universe, this universe. It's come from a single point. Now, what if the fabric, I think I'm live again. What if the fabric of time and space, billions and trillions of years ago, now this still, in my mind and some other theoretical thinkers, this still exists. Now we think our universe, and you've seen all the pictures of all the nebula and all the different galaxies, and they take pictures even further out in the distance, and you say to yourself, holy crap almighty, what's holding all this together? Well, what if there isn't anything necessarily except the space of it or the time? Okay. But so what, and you know me, I like to try to think logically. What logically would start a Big Bang? Because nothing in the universe, anywhere, and it takes something to get something. Okay, you just don't start out with nothing. I don't care what God you are, you got to have something to work with. I can imagine stuff, but until I work with some wood or plastic, I can't actually make it. There's got to be some kind of matter thing. Oh, well, God created it all. Well, okay. But he still had to have something to work with. He made man in his image, but he used clay, he used the earth. You know what I'm saying? So, building blocks. So, okay, God created the building blocks. But what if there was already this huge universe that was ever expanding, and we, a portion of this universe, popped through this whatever that was kind of holding it together, and out we come, our universe, which is actually still part of this one. I know I got a glare on this. And from a single point, because you could, all of the trajectories and everything over the years, they've been able to tell, we are kind of like shooting out from a single point. So what if there's some kind of cosmic background, some kind of cosmic goo, and it would be, if you think our universe is big, consider what this other section could be like, right? Now, I don't think it was Einstein. I'm trying to remember. I think it was Ray Bradbury and some other folks, some science fiction folk, who, in my opinion, had a lot of really good ideas, and also what if? So our universe, the Big Bang, is actually a popped pimple. I hate to use that as a thing, but basically that's what we are. Could that be? Because all of these things are coming from a single point and moving this direction into this universe, into this bit of space of the universe. So now we have to stop and think, oh, holy crap. Our universe, if you consider all the stars and everything, is pretty flipping huge, right? We can all agree on that. So the idea that there's something even bigger behind it that we may have come forth from, well, if there we didn't know, actually, your connection is unstable. Am I glitching everybody? I can't. You don't, Chloe says, you don't feel like you're from this universe. Or, for good point, this universe or this solar system. Good point. And that's sort of my point in this, is in that there are times when I don't feel like I belong in this dimension. But is this dimension a different universe? We can have this, what do we feel the universe means to us? Is it all the... Boy, that was a heavy duty lightning. My connection may be lost. We got a pretty good thunderstorm going on around here. Some really interesting lightning. But anyway, so our universe could mean, what we feel is like heaven, and all the dimensions and different different grades, third, fourth, fifth, 5D, 6D, 7D. Is that the universe? Or does the universe with all the stars contain all of these dimensions? And I would say, yeah. What we can see and feel and touch is also the basis for things that we can't see, feel, or touch. Interesting idea, huh? But so what if there is a bigger, more gargantuan, humongous universe out there with more stars, more galaxies, more everything than what we think is our current reality or our current universe? Now, what has this got to do with anything? Hawkeye asked his fellow members of the League of Like-Minded Beings. It's that we look and search for answers to things, most of us, a lot of us, we look for logical, sort of like Spock, we look for a logical explanation. Now, some things are like a little illogical, but it's because we don't understand the entire amount of science behind it. So, but what if the universe, what if our universe is nothing more than the expansion? And this is us headed out in this direction, and we're expanding and doing this number. Why can't that be possible? Well, I don't know, because, well, God said, universe. Well, what if God had a pen and said, you know what, this other universe is getting a little too big. I think we need a little expansion here. I think we're going to open up some new territory, some new real estate, if you will, and pop that balloon, boom, and out we come shooting out from the rest of the universe, sliding, going where no man has gone before. So we're essentially in a whole new section of the universe that maybe hasn't been traveled before. We haven't been in the same spot. The Earth is always moving. The solar system is always moving. The galaxy is always moving. We're never in the same spot twice. Ever, never, ain't going to happen. We follow in cycles relating to our solar system. Our planet goes around the sun once a year-ish. We can watch all the other planets move around, go past us, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Myanus and everybody else's, we all have, anyway. But this idea, though, that I've had ever since I was a child, that God just said, okay, there it is. And I'm like, I'm good with if he had some stuff to work with, and that he said, okay, I'm going to make this. But for there to be absolutely nothing anywhere at all, ever, never, and he said, whoops, there it is. I personally have issues with that because of the laws of nature and things and stuff. It just doesn't seem like, but to have a bunch of stuff laying around and, no, let's make a planet. Okay. I'm cool with that one, So, but anyway, now what has this got to do with the realm of thinking, like, as far personally, spiritually? What the heck does this has to do with it? Because our thinking, our reality, who we are spiritually, people-wise, 3D-wise, in our universe. If our universe is constricted, and it's in this little thingy here, and well, this is my universe. This is what I think is there. When we say to ourselves, spiritually and otherwise, this is what I understand, but it's probably much more, because my understanding of the realms of this universe, what I know of it, is limited. Good sound cue. So my knowledge of science is limited because we're still always learning something. We're still always learning a little bit of this or that and medicine and blah, 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 frequencies and noises and oy vey, what we know now, what we didn't know back when I was a child. So the idea, though, that, wait a minute, we may have had the thought, we may have had a theory, we may have had a whatever, but until we start learning the esoteric ins and outs of scientific, more science than what they're telling us, and there's more of the universe than what they're telling us or they're allowing us to understand. So from a spiritual point of view, they're trying to put a boundary on what we can learn or what our knowledge is. And the first thing you got to understand is there's more. Or you or any of us could, if we tried to absorb all of the information, our tiny little brains would go boom, we would not make it. We would, too much information would, fry our core processor. Now, with that said, though, I can say, though, that I know the universe is more than what I can currently understand. So I'm explaining to myself that I can grasp this much, but I know it's bigger. For example, I can go down to a lake and it's a big body of water and I can see the shore on the other side. But so I can say, wow, water, big body of water, maybe, but now if I go to the ocean, I don't see the other side. It's a bigger body of water. So, but we can say, well, I know what a lake looks like and it's surrounded and everything. So when I go to the ocean, I can say, well, I can use the information about the lake in terms of the ocean. Gulf of Mexico, it's a gulf surrounded by Florida, Mexico, and it's like a big lake in a way. So with that, I can say, I might not be able to see, the Yucatan Peninsula from here, but I can imagine it. I can say, okay, I get it. So with this idea of the universe is bigger, okay, here's our universe with all of our known universe, all the pictures they've taken, all of the galaxies and quasars and everything. Take that. Okay, that's a big lake. But couldn't there be an ocean somewhere else that that this lake was formed from? You know what I'm saying? So I can understand that, oh, holy crap, it could be the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific, or it's Lake Erie or or it's Lake Okeechobee, or it's Banks Lake, or it's a pond down the street. There's still bodies of water, but I can look at the small one, and in my brain, I can allow it to say, well, you know what? Lake Erie's a big lake. So, but, this is a small pond, but Lake Erie, it's got land. Oh, you know what I mean? So we can extrapolate this information. With that said, so by saying, well, I may not know what it looks like on the other side of the Pacific. I've stood on the shores of the Pacific Ocean and looked out over the water from the cliffs there in Northern California. It's beautiful as hell. Anyway, one of the places I would like to go back to. But all I could do is imagine 8,000 miles or whatever it is, to the mainland over there in China, Japan over there. You know what I mean? A long way. So, but I can envision it. I can't see it, but I can envision it. So with this idea of the universe, what about me spiritually? Spiritually, we can say, well, I understand this much of the universe. I understand that love is important. I understand that positive thought, positive thinking, and positive vibrations are important. Do I know how to use every single one to my advantage? Not yet. And I'm still learning. That's why I always say I am a shaman in training. When I can learn how to walk through that wall without getting my brain scrambled any more than they are, I will have, passed my tenderfoot stage of being able to be a true shaman. But with that understanding, I know that when I learn how to walk through a wall or whatever, there's even more beyond that. That's just one step. Being able to control your dreams and being able to astral project and forward thinking and all that. These are all little tips and tricks and things that we learn to be more spiritual, to be more in tune with the universe. And if we didn't practice these things, how are we going to know if we're 4, 3, 2, it's a good ways off. There it is. But anyway, the first thing we need to understand in all of this is not so much, is the universe, well, what do I care how big it is? It's not about understanding, well, it's really big. It's understanding that it's immense and it's vast. And in this universe, what bit of knowledge we are learning here on this tiny little pebble in this vast universe, you want to believe in this big bang? Do you want to believe that God just went poof? I really have issues with that. But like I said, if he has some material hanging around and things are formed and stuff, I get that, right? There's just a bunch of space debris and God says, point, let's make Venus. Okie dokie. And that God and the goddess work together, and that each of these planets has an entity, and each of these planets had guardians and higher elevations and entities and really huge, creatures, like the Kraken, for example, or the octopus or spider, the story of the great spider woman, and how she takes care of the solar system and of the different universes and how everything is connected, the spider web of life. So we have to consider, I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm just going to kind of go with, some of those ancient stories, legends, have got more fact base to them than not. So what do I want to think about? I want to think of that the universe is so vast, but I'm a part of it. No matter how big it is, I'm still in it. So what does that make me? Does it make me an infinitesimal, tiny little dot? Yeah. But at the same time, my energy and my frequency is different from anybody else's. But we have all learned that we're members of the League of Like-Minded Beings, so that we have access to the same amount of information that all the other beings in the universe can grab a hold to. So, but if our limitations are such that, well, we started out as this little, and here we all are, all these eons and millennia and quadrillion billion years ago. But what if there's even more to the universe than that? What if we busted through? Yeah, what if we busted through one universe and there are gazillion more universes in here and we just came out of one side? If the universe is expanding, our universe is expanding, and it's came basically from a certain direction, what if there's this great big balloon popped on the other side? Is there another God on the other side going, hey, this vacuum of space is contained, but for whatever reason it's contained, magnetism, whatever, we've got these little projectiles of parts of an even larger universe that we've been spit out from. Now, that can boggle the mind. I understand. But here's the thing. In the discussion of the universe, in the discussion of who we are, if we think that it's only a this or a that, we are limiting our thought pattern. So by just saying, I don't know if I'm right or not, but for me, and I've cogitated on this for quite a few years now, I can see us being spit out of another universe or dimension or something. And that's how we got here. And I absolutely believe that there are higher beings who help to develop this, this universe and try to keep it from destroying itself. One of the things in this higher universe thinking is there are a lot of beings who want to control everything. They want to destroy things. They want to wipe out entire races of people. I was watching a thing earlier today about World War II and all of these other all of these other things, and that, after the French were liberated in Paris, the folks in Paris turned on their own, and there was 10 to 12,000 people who, more or less, the people considered traitors. Somebody down the road, the Nazis left, the Germans are gone, and the Americans and the Allies walk in, and the people in the town went, that guy there sold us out. That woman over there sold us out. This person, that guy, and the people took care of that way before the army or the government could get in touch. People in the neighborhood said, you were an SOB, you collaborated with the Nazis. Now, it was one thing to like be a bar owner and work, that it was another for turning in the Jews and the this and the that. And the people took care of their own in that respect. They said, nah, there's 50 of us that know this guy was a SOB and turned neighbors in and blah, blah. He was stealing food, collaborating with the enemy. And some of them were hung, some of them were shot, but most of them were just branded. Some of them had their ears cut off as a sign of that they were a traitor to the French people. And it just wasn't the French that did it. But anyway, I think to myself, well, how did they allow it to happen to begin with? Well, Hitler had some pretty big guns. But the idea that in this universe, there's the yin and the yang. If the other side wants to destroy everything, if everything was destroyed, then where would they be? Shoot themselves? Commit harry, and stab themselves out of honor? I don't understand. I do understand why some people feel like they want to control others because they think they're better and narcissistic. Okay. But the idea of wanting to wipe out entire peoples, races, I want to get rid of some fire ants, but I don't want all fire ants to be gone. Maybe that, we almost succeeded years ago. But the idea, though, that in this universe, it is so vast. And so this idea of the Big Bang Theory, maybe it was a pop of the balloon of this expanded, even larger universe. Can you just wrap your head around the idea that it's possible? Now, that's all I ask, is that, not that I'm right, but I got this idea in thinking from somebody else too. And I was like, or maybe it was a dream, not sure. I've had dreams about this. I've been in the kayak out in the middle of the lake in the middle of the night and looked up at the universe and went, something just, So there's a lot to my own personal thing in this, but what I've gotten from it all is that, guess what? Every time I think I've learned a little something that gets me like, not necessarily to a higher level, but a little bit more of awareness or understanding, and then something comes along and I feel like, crap, I'm back in kindergarten again. I'm relearning these things, but the game has changed. And it's almost like not a video game. It's called life, okay? But circumstances and things in life, and you go, well, damn it, man, I went through a really similar situation and I hated it. And now I got to go through a similar situation again? No, please, Jesus, save me from this. How did I get myself into this mess? And so it can be any little tiny thing, but the fact that I don't want to say we are repeating things, but there are similar life circumstances that are very, I got to go through this again. What did I not learn the first time? And that I'm not doing this, you know what I mean? Excuse me. And it may simply be that we need the practice. I need more practice in being patient. I need more practice in awareness of this or that. Or I need more practice in something. And I'm kind of going through that right now. What the hell did I not learn the last 4 or 5 times I've had to go through this nonsense? Some more lightning. So, but anyway, what has this got to do with it, with the price of chicken in Hong Kong? Nothing really. But in that though, you mean they sell chicken in Hong Kong? Wonder what the price is. Is it a yen, 10 yen, 20 yen? Or um, when people first started thinking truly globally, the idea of back when the first George Bush, he talked about the new world order and then the rule of law and the law of the land. I hate that speech. I watched it real time back in the day, and it gave me shivers. And every time I've watched it since. But what have we learned from this after all these years of poking our heads down all these rabbit holes? There's so much more. So do we get wrapped up in this tiny little universe over here? Or do we say, I see the Orion Nebula, I see the Milky Way, I see the Big Dipper, I see Libra, I see, I see London, I see France, I see someone's underpants. Some little kid's poem back in the day. But understanding that there's more, even though you may not be able to comprehend it, understanding that it's possible keeps this open. If you consider there's only 10 channels on the radio, then, for example, I had a 1951 Chevrolet pickup truck. It was made almost the year I was born. Well, it was made the year I was conceived, at least. I was conceived in 51 and born in 52. But anyway, the idea, though, that this black man had bought this truck brand new from off the Chevrolet thing. It was like $500 back in the day or something like that, right? And it was a stick shift on the column, all right? Well, nobody showed him how that on the old stick shift on the column, that in order to get into first gear, you pull down into neutral and then down into first towards you. Reverse was straight up. If you were shifting gears, you'd go up to neutral, up to second, and then down to third. No one showed him that there was a reverse and a first gear in this truck. So the old man, and I'd seen him in the Roses parking lot, and he'd park way up on the hill. And the guy asked him when he traded the truck in, and the old man says, "Well, I want a new truck." And the guy said, "Why?" Because he says, "I'm tired of parking up on the hill. This truck won't go backwards." And so one of the mechanics went out and got in the truck. I bought this truck from the old man. He got in and put it up in reverse, started the truck, and backed up. And the old black man almost had a heart attack. He was like, "What? How did you do that?" For all the years that he'd had, and I bought the truck back in the 70s. Okay, so he'd had this thing from 50 to 70, right? Ish. And didn't know that it had a first gear. All he knew was it had a second and a third. So we always parked up on a hill so he didn't have to back out. He changed his life. And when they showed him that it had a reverse and a first, the old man cried. He was like, "I can't, all these years I've been doing," and it had a reverse. No one showed him how to pull back that 3-speed and shift. Now, it wasn't because he was a black man or whatever. Nobody showed him. That's what he said. He said, "Nobody showed me." He said, "I bought it, and it clicked out of first, and it went up into second and third, and he never knew to pull it back. No one showed him. And he lived his life that way." So, but when his mind got expanded, he was like, well, he still traded the truck in, but he was like, well, now, oh my God, I can, I don't need an automatic now that you show. He liked the idea of a stick shift, but he didn't like the idea that there was only 2 gears. Now, you got to wonder. So, but his expansion of the universe doubled, and he was like, you know what I mean? So when you think that there's only 2 gears, there are only two gears. And unless somebody shows you differently, there are only two gears. But now we can say, well, you know what? Maybe somewhere else, my truck's only got two gears. But maybe somewhere else, there's a vehicle with a first and a reverse, which is what he wanted. He wanted a reverse because he was tired of not backing up. So he knew there was more, thus the trade-in, but didn't know he already had it. Now that to me was astounding. So what about the old man and I swear to God, this is a true story. The old man had everything he needed all those years. But because he didn't ask, because he thought that's just the way it came, was just two gears, second and third, that's what his life became. So, but imagine he sees other trucks that back up, never asked. He's too shy. He's too reserved. Well, maybe they got the deluxe model and their truck can back up, but they must have an automatic. Something must be different from the other trucks that are the same age and model as his. Why didn't he draw the conclusion? Well, he was a little slow. He was a sharecropper and worked on a farm. So no, he wasn't the most intelligent person, but he drove a tractor but it had 4 speeds on the floor. 1, 2, 3, 4. He could see them. But on on the column of those old vehicles, it didn't have a pattern. And if you didn't know to pull it back into neutral, you didn't know reverse and first was there. So, but to the universe, we may not understand exactly how it works. But if we consider there's only 2 gears, we're not going to get very far. Sometimes we got to back up because we parked in a parking place. Sometimes an obstruction gets in our way and we have to back up. So, tree falls across the road, unless you back up and go around it, you're stuck, right? So there are times when we need to back up, spiritually speaking, and physically, trees down across the road and so forth. But the idea, though, that if we don't know that we have a reverse, or we don't know that there are more gears, or that there's a possibility of it, then our universe then is stuck in a Dyson sphere. We're stuck in this realm. And our thinking can't go any further than that. But when we allow ourselves just the idea that, it may be 100 times bigger than what it already is. That's just interesting. So my spirituality, in other words, I feel like maybe I've reached a particular plateau or something, and I've reached a thing. Hang on, because there's more. When different circumstances happen, you get a little older and things start happening to you and your family and friends around you. And then you say, well, I've handled this before, but you didn't handle it when you were 67 years old. You handled it when you were 35 years old. 30 years makes a big difference to me, to any of us. But so how we reacted then and how we will react now and how I'll react if I make it another 30 years, which would put me at 97, I could do it maybe. But the idea, though, that if I put myself in a box, if I put restraints or constraints on my reality or universe or whatever, then I cannot expand. The thinking, well, I don't know, this is it. That's the universe, Well, that's our solar system. That's all there is. Hang on, gang. Pull your panties up. Happy birthday, Brian. I see you in there. Project Skyfalls, Chloe. I pray your part. No growth or evolution inside the box, says Michelle. Yep. Chloe, Scratchy, it can be very dark at times, but just know that inside of each of us, we are all the light. I don't know what Scratch said. I just don't see a bright side of life earlier. I, I had to go back up and read through. In the darkest of days, sometimes we need the darkness to give our eyes a chance. But if we allow the darkness to overtake us, now that's a biggie. And recently, with Miss Deb getting leukemia and being in the hospital, from what I understand, um, she is slightly better. We'll get a better update. I don't like talking about somebody else's condition, but it is serious enough. Serious enough. She's in a cancer ward at the hospital in Augusta, Georgia, and um, having watched my adopted mother die over 12 years of cancer and having things taken out, my grandmother dying of cancer, my grandfather dying of cancer, both grandfathers dying of cancer. Pops died of a heart failure. But my youngest sister has had her breast removed and she's going through chemo. A dear friend of mine down the road had, prostate cancer and bowel cancer, and he's went through all the treatment. He's still around, but barely, but he's still here. And to have more and to have this and just, I think, oh well, I'm strong enough to do this. I'm finding that I'm not near as strong as I proclaimed I thought I was, because circumstances are different, situations have changed, my age has made me look at things differently. Just so the parameters, the society, the universe, the energies, the fluctuations, all of the above. You say, well, I got this, I can handle. I've handled all this before. Yeah, but not in this particular circumstance. So circumstances change how we look at it, how we react, how we deal, the whole thing. So by looking at the universe as well, the universe is so vast, there are so many different possibilities. That's one of the things, like, hey gang, guess what? There's even more to this maybe than what meets the eye. And what meets the eye is really big. So, but when we consider and we take ourselves, seems like in a way I'm talking around in circles with this, and I don't really want to do that. It just seems to limit us. And so by for example, when I was working as an engineer, there were guys, well, we've done everything we can. Obviously not. You still have a problem with your tooling, and you've got issues with this and that in manufacturing. Well, but we've done everything we can. No, you haven't. So, but sometimes it takes a fresh pair of eyes. So even with stuff that I design, I go, well, I've looked at everything, haven't I? So I say, well, I did that and I did this and that's all right. I would have to literally take a step back, become that compassionate observer, and go, okay, now it's pretty close, but we still got some issues here. Now let's just back up the bus and look at the whole picture. Come to find out the tooling was okay. The machine was being run a little too fast. We slowed the machine down like 2 or 3 parts per minute, but it ran like a top. It was the machine was running too fast. The machine couldn't cycle quick enough. So when I found that out, I went, whoa, hang on here. So we started slowing the machines down by, these things would do 50 parts per minute. And these guys would try to run it at 55 parts per minute. That extra 5 parts would crash the machines. So we made it a rule to these guys and gals, the operators, 50. That's it. Don't push it. Because if you break down, you're going to lose that 5 that you were going to get. because of downtime. And you got to do setup again. And then you got to go through the whole rigmarole again. And that costs you time. So which is easier, to slow your machine down a little bit and it run like a top all day, or try to speed it up to try to catch up because you were a lazy whatever? And so it wasn't the tooling, it wasn't the design, but there was something else going on, and it was the timing of the machine. It was going too fast. And once we slowed it down, everything went into place. So was it my fault? No, not directly. It was the overall picture. But all I could focus on was what I designed. Well, why ain't this working? It works when we do it over here. We put it over here and it doesn't work. You got to look at a bigger picture. There's more of the universe out there. So that's sort of the analogy of this thing. When you think you may be confining yourself, just stop and go, I can see the sides of this cardboard box, but I can also cut a little hole and make a window. I'm living in a cardboard box with a window. I got my new doggy friend over here. He runs up and down in here, but I got all these windows on the side of the house. So he may not go out all the time because the skeeters and everything, but he can see outside. So he's not living in he's living in a confined space. But having spent a year in jail, I was like, I want windows, So anywhere in my house, there's windows. And I can see out. There's so many windows, I don't have much wall space for pictures or whatever. But to the point, though, I never feel, even though I'm in the house, I don't feel closed in. And a lot of other folks that have been here in the house go, wow, the ceiling up there, I don't feel closed in, even though it's not a really big house. But so it's the perception. It's what our brain sees, or eyes see, or our intuition sees. So if we tell our intuition, accept this, but there's more. And be happy about it. There's more goodness out there. There's more learning. There's more planets and beings and species and stuff. Oh, man. And there's lions and tigers and bears. Oh, my. Now, the trick would be, wouldn't it be nice if all of the bad guys would turn good? Well, then where would we be? Wouldn't we have to argue with somebody about something? I just seriously doubt it's ever going to go away in the universe, in time. There's always going to be two sets of folks that are going to argue about something. You're not going to see eye to eye on everything, and that's okay. Because how can you progress if you're stuck? Well, I like blue. So you paint everything blue, and somebody comes along and goes, what the hell are you painting everything blue for? Here's a really nice shade of green. And if you mix this two, and the two, you got a green and a blue. Isn't that nice? Well, I don't know. I really like the blue. Yeah, but is that your only color? So it's someone else who will sometimes spark that bit of, Brian and Milky Way and everybody participating earlier. It was great to hear all these different voices, and not just their voice, but the voices of who they are and what they read, or poetry, or think, or their opinion. All of these voices. Think of the gazillion voices in the universe and what they're saying and what they're sharing. Wow. So why is this important about the Big Bang? It was to say, you know what? There's more to this universe than any of us know. But keep an open mind, because that's the only way you're going to be able to accept and receive the knowledge and the healing from the universe. You got to realize that it's out there. Now, some of these gifts may not cure cancer. On the other side of the coin, if you understood, I don't yet, if I understood the correct mechanics, I could repair my own DNA. I could repair whatever was wrong within me. I could grow, a new finger because I messed this one up. I could grow new teeth instead of having to wear falsies, But the idea, though, that, hey, there's more to it than this. Let's keep an open mind and be careful out there. Now, there's more information on and around. I know there's not too many of us that really talk about UFOs anymore. We know they're there and we've seen sightings and so forth. But if you pay attention here recently, especially to the channels that I pay attention to some of the stuff in Russian, even though I don't know Russian. I'm watching and paying attention. Them folks over in Moscow and over there in Ukraine and places, oh my God, the UFO activity that's going on. And in China and different places and down in Thailand, there is a crap load of ships. And recently, there was some outer space video, if you know what I mean, where you can see these spaceships leaving Earth, like by the hundreds. Like, there's something going on, my friends. Now, those of you, you've heard me speak about Dante. I am not a spokesperson for Dante. He put one of my videos on his channel. I'm so grateful. I understand a lot of what Dante Santori, man, but look up DSAHK. And can I explain who he is? No. Basically, he is the reincarnation of Azazel, and one of the four brothers of Michael, Danielle, and Gabriel. So now, whether or not you believe that or not, but here's the biggest thing. The biggest thing Dante has shown me, and especially when I've seen, looking out my back door, I've seen and talked about the UFO that's south of here. He's had really good video of a similar object that I have been trying to take video of for years. So the Charistus, which are the angels, and the Anunnaki, which were the good guys, have been fighting against the Mater and the Vlash for a long time. And if you look at some of the old paintings and you see the spaceships in the paintings, there's one of Mother Mary and a thing, and there's spaceships on either side on the painting. And they're unmistakable what they are. So now, why do I bring this subject up and thinking about and talking about the Big Bang Theory? Because there's a lot of other stuff going on. There's not just the grays and the tall whites. There are thousands of species and races of aliens and beings in this universe. And I've seen, you've heard me talk about them, the things that I've seen. Now, I don't know who they are. But through Dante and some of the videos that he's done, he has helped me to narrow down, well, it ain't this guy and it ain't them. And I don't think it's the good guys. I think actually it's one of the bad guys. Keep an eye on them, right? What are they doing down there? What does this have to do with the bigger picture? Because Dante has shown me and have proven to me, because of the things I've seen myself, has shown me pictures of things that are happening over in Russia and the Ukraine and Turkey and other parts of the world. And I can see it out my back door. It's happening in other places. And the activity is increased. Now, I ain't got a clue what this really means in the long run, but there's something big going on. Don't know what it is, but now that the whole planet's locked down, and things are being, shut down, and the airplane flights and this and blah, blah, blah. There are changes coming. There are changes that have already happened. So, my friends, whatever the warning is that they would like for me to explain to you, just be ready. Be ready, because we might have to do some shucking and jiving on our own. We're going to have to adapt to the new paradigm, whatever it may be. And I'm hoping, a lot of us are hoping and praying that the new paradigm is going to be better. It's not going to be dog eat dog. Although, there was some people in the local store, and he was like, "How come y'all don't have no toilet paper in here?" And the lady behind the counter is because when the truck shows up, there's a line of people standing outside the store, and they know when we put it on the shelf. They have figured it out in the last 2 months. When we get paper shipments from this was a local Dollar General, and the lady was like, "I'm sorry, sir, but you'll have to come back when the store opens." And and because it's gone, as soon as we put it on the shelf, it's gone. Now I got a whole 12-pack of toilet paper in here, and I still haven't bought it. Well, I did buy one or two-pack rolls, but I'm still working on what I had before this started. So, okay, I plan ahead, and my needs are less, but some of these folks are like, but we're out. We don't have any toilet paper. And I was like, dang, man, do you use that much? Or, planning ahead, or anyway, what's that got to do with the bigger picture of thing? Prepare. Don't buy up every roll. There was something I wanted today, and there were 2 on the shelf, and I was like, I normally get 2 every month. And it's towards the end of May, and I haven't really stocked up this month. I was going to get them both, and I went, nah, I'm only going to take one. Somebody else might need that one because there's only 2 of them, and it's a favorite, and all the other items were gone on the shelf. So do I need it? Should I be greedy? No. And other people are thinking the same way, though. Not everybody, not everybody. Well, I'm going to take what I need, not buy up the whole damn shelf. I'm going to police myself and say, you know what? I don't think I need to be like this. Anyway, I hope that that's our new paradigm. Lots of people are stepping up on their own to help each other, to not be as greedy as they may have been in the past or whatever, or to go, you know what? I've got one at the house here. You go ahead and take this last one here. I'm good. We'll see how this turns out. But understanding the bigger picture. Now, I'm warning you about the UFOs thingy because there is something big going on. Just keep an eye out. Don't know what it is. Don't know what. Well, anytime the spaceships are firing at each other, we should kind of worry. I've seen some huge things get blown up out of the sky and make the space shuttle look sick. And anywho, keep expanding your mind and keep an open mind. The dark side, it's always going to be there at some point. But let's see if we can't work against the really nasty ones. It's like it's one thing for somebody to pickpocket you or steal the change off your dresser or, take a little bit of advantage. It's another for somebody to come up and stab you 20 times for $2 in your pocket. Now, that's an extreme. But in some instances, it's like, well, there are certain things we not necessarily let slide. But the guy who's like pinching pennies or a little bit of pilfering over here, pickpocket, the guys that want to wipe out the universe and kill everybody, we need to work on that evil. You know what I mean? So, my friends, thank you so much. Michelle, Chloe, I lost my really good pair of glasses. Anyway, back to the dollar store one of these days. Scratch. My daddy and uncle were seriously just alike in every way. It's so creepy, says Chloe. I was born Rome, Georgia. Hey, Lady Spitfire. Hey, how are you up there? Michelle, no contact with my parents. Perhaps a past life memory. Sorry. For the longest time they worked. Okay. Jody. Okay. How are you there, Jody? Good to see you as well, Scratch. It would definitely be a bit of a shock, I think. You guys were talking about something, and that's okay. But for the thing about somebody asked me to try to explain about Dante, and I know this is at the end of this video, but I don't feel like I have the right to speak about anybody, even though he put a video of mine up on the on his channel, which I am ever so grateful for. And the dreams and the thing about my mother Mary messages and so forth. There's been a lot of good response in that respect, and a little bit of criticism along the way. But if Mother Mary shows up in my house, which she has done, along with two other entities, to shake and rattle my, I can't prove it, but I'm surely not going to make a claim that I don't know for a long time. You know me, I didn't want to even discuss it. But there are other folks out there who understand, I guess, that maybe it really did happen, and that maybe some of the ideas about being more Christ-like in this world, that we should be, more humane to one another, and that there's more to this picture than et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I feel like I've worked with the angels before. I do feel like I have been sent here for this soul path. Mother Mary told me when I was a youngin', 11, 12, 13-ish in there, that she was going to ask me to do something, and this seems to be it. And you all have told me that I have made an impact in your life. I can't gauge that. It's up to you. But I wouldn't have met Milky Way and Michelle and Scratch and Chloe and Jody, and I wouldn't have met any of y'all folk if I had kept my mouth shut. But it was the vision of them three ladies standing right here in my house that kicked this off. So somewhere down the line, somebody else believes me, and from I would consider a much higher authority, and the Charistus, meaning the angels, quite frankly. And some would say, well, the angels this and that. There are a lot of videos out there of what looks like angels flying. And quite frankly, maybe they are. You say, well, I don't know. That's impossible. Is it? Well, if you believe this or you believe that or you believe... but you see, the idea of the angels and Jesus and the cross and what went on has a much deeper meaning going back thousands of years, millions actually, but thousands here on this planet. And it's because of the Anunnaki, who were the good guys, but have been made out to be the bad guys, along with the Charistus, the angels, have been invaded by the Vlash and the Mater and some other nasty beings as well. And quite frankly, it's the war of the angels. It is the war of the good and the evil. But whose side do you take? I'm not working for the other guys. I just ain't. Now, are you going to nail me to a cross, or do I have to go through that kind of suffering? I hope not. I've gone through a lot of suffering myself, broken limbs and in the hospital, and I feel like sometimes I was nailed to a cross, but I've never lost my faith. I've never lost my faith in Mother Mary. I've never lost my faith in Mother Nature and of the cosmos and of these higher things. Now, do I go to any kind of church? No. I used to, but church, I'm not against the universe. I'm against what the people in the churches do. It's not for this discussion. But I've never lost my faith. In fact, I'm more faithful and more in tune because I'm not associated with the church. Because the church and their rules would constrict and confine my spiritual awareness and being able to understand the universe. So check out Dante. If you type in Dante in the YouTube search, but it's DS space AHK. And check him out. He's got hundreds of videos on all kinds of subjects. But the thing that, is pointed out, I was seeing, I studied art way back in high school and since then, and Hieronymus Bosch. I think I might have even done a video about Hieronymus Bosch way back. But Hieronymus Bosch, back in the 1680s, 15, something like that, a long time ago, drawing all these demons and things and stuff. He was a creepy dude. But maybe he was tuned into something like Leonardo da Vinci, the different types of flying machines and this and that and the blah, 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 Michelangelo. Some of these folks, Copernicus, there were some very enlightened beings over the many centuries. What the hell did Da Vinci see? Now, I was studying Da Vinci as an architect back in high school when I was taking drafting classes. And I was amazed in the 60s, afterwards, everybody was like, ooh, look at Da Vinci, and look at this and that. And I was like, I know, pretty cool, wasn't it? And the mind that he had. And we didn't see all of his stuff. You know what I'm saying? All of his papers didn't get published. You know what I mean? Much like Tesla and so forth. Now, was this the reincarnation of a being? From maybe Tesla was the reincarnation of Da Vinci, or Da Vinci was the reincarnation of Copernicus. You know what I'm saying? What's to say? Or Sir Isaac Newton? Who knows? Galileo? Were these folks reincarnations of an entity, a spirit, a soul, from a higher plane, from a different universe, and to show us these things along the way? Now, look at everything that Da Vinci showed us, but look how long it took us to use them, because they thought he was nuts. That's why they locked him in a room in the chapel kind of thing. So the idea of an expanding universe, the idea that, I'll use my little picture one more time. This is the unknown universe, and we broke through it, and this is us out here in all this new space. Why not? It makes more sense than poof, there's something from nothing. Meh. But a break in a bigger universe where we kind of popped out, that really does make sense to me. Is it true? Don't know. But here's the point. These guys want to say there's only one answer. There's only one answer to this. It's a big bang. It just went from nothing to poof. And that's it. Well, there is the creation thing. But nobody gives us a third option. There could be dozens more options. We just aren't aware of them. But if we only stick with the two, aren't we being limited in our universe of how we can expand spiritually and mentally and physically? As soon as we realize there's more to it, we can accept more. Not necessarily as truth, but as a possibility. We'll see. So for you, Dante fans, friends, cheers. I do love you all, and I do pray each and every day for each and every one of you. Chloe, Lady Spitfire, all y'all. I can't. You say thank you to me for being here, and I say thank you for being who you are and for showing up. I can talk to myself all the time or any day. It doesn't mean anything. But sharing it and helping to expand all of our minds, because the club, the league of like-minded beings, if we can all think in larger thoughts, if we can all think there's more to this picture than this, then we can accept other things. We can be more prepared. We can be more in tune to there's other possibilities. There may be a third or fourth or 10 or 100 other explanations for, quote, the Big Bang. But in our limited experience, that's all we can accept. Or, you know what I mean. So, but with that said, I'm going to close for this. Scratch. That's the one problem I find with memory. If anything those sort of experiences can enhance your memory. I know this because I believe it or not, it's not similar to the reason my memory is good. It's not always a great thing to have. Memories are imprinted, yes, and the memories can be. Did you? Let me put my glasses back on. Sometimes I can see the chat. Yes, because the memory is imprinted with great emotion. I agree with you, Chloe. And here's one of the issues that I'm dealing with now is past events I dealt with great emotion. But they were every one of the situations was slightly different. So this time through, I'm dealing with all of those other memories that were deep seated in me because of the emotion. And now, here we go again. I got to come up with another emotion or deal with another emotion on a separate level. Interesting. But that's how we have to adapt. That's what's coming up for us, my friends. We're going to need to learn how to adapt on many levels. So, if you feel like your panties are getting in a bunch, drop your drawers and straighten them out. Go behind the car door and, straighten that, so that you're not sitting on a hemorrhoid, Get you a donut pillow if you do. But my friends, this is enough for now. Thank you so much for being who you are. Keep your own faith. Keep that strength. The Mother Mary messages and the angel messages is simply this. If you're doing good and you continue to want to do good, and even though you may not have the resources, but your intention is there, keep the faith, baby. Hang in there. We're going to make it through this. We've already made it through the last 3 months. People around here was down at the local store, and folks are hanging out back behind the counter. And hey, we're going to have some chicken, and when are you going to start the dinner thing? And it's like a little town of Meigs. There are 10 or 15 people just hanging around the store and having a good time and chit chatting like they did in the old days. Because there's nothing else to do in Meigs, Georgia. But this idea of don't touch me, and people are kind of like, I'll open the door for you and go right there, rather than, hugging and they're waving at each other, but they're congregating. That's a good thing, I think. We've made it this far. Let's keep our intentions pure, whether we can manifest them or not. Keep our intentions pure. And we're human. Each one of us, no matter how good we are at keeping our emotions in check or whatever, we're still human. And we need, or hybrids. I believe I'm one of the hybrids, but linked into a common memory is the reason I say that. But also because I have blue eyes. That's supposed to mean something. I don't know. We'll see. When my time comes to cross over to the next side, I'm going to learn a lot of stuff really fast, as each of us will. But keep an open mind. I'm repeating myself extensively. It's important, though. I love you all. Thank you. Have a great weekend. It is Memorial Day weekend. And so with that said, remember those who have fought in previous wars, whether they fought for us or for the other guy or for big industrialists to make money. They fought with pride, thinking that they were fighting for you and me. My pops was in the Navy. My half brother was in the Navy. My granddaughter was in the Navy. I've had many friends. A good friend of mine is still a Marine after all these years. I've had several folks in the Marines. And although I wasn't in the armed services myself, I highly appreciate and respect all of those who have served. I couldn't because of my knee, and I don't know if I could have as a person. I think the killing thing would have just been too much for me. But anyway, I continue to pray that each and every one of you will accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe. Michelle, Chloe, Project Skyfalls, Lady Spitfire, Scratch, and anybody else. I know there's some more of you lurking back there in the background. I continue to pray that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, all of your relatives, all of your relations, past, present, and to come, will learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the wisdom, and the healing from the universe. And as the law of three, I continue to pray that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, all of your relations will continue to accept, receive, and continue to share the knowledge that you have received. And until next time, my friends, be safe this weekend. There are some crazies out there, but go spend some time with someone. Have a good time. Smile. With all the stuff that's going on, we all need a smile. Smiles will bring us happiness, will help bring out the joy and the love, and we can spread it even more. So until next time, I love you all from South Georgia with the thunder and lightning about to abate. This is Hawkeye Two Feathers, commonly known as that old crazy guy. I shaved almost my beard. I almost cut my hair, but I didn't. It's still here. I almost cut my hair. I did. I was like this close, but I was like, nah, not yet. Thank you, Michelle. Ween. And to Bob, earlier we had some glitches. Thank you, my friend. And until next time, keep the coffee on. And we'll share a pot next time. I love you all. Thank you. Be sweet. Keep it between the ditches. And as I usually say, TTFN, ta-ta for now from South Georgia. Cheers, my friends. Until next time, stay in the love and the light of the infinite creator.